What's the nastiest war you were a part of?
Well, I think that the war with the Outlaws. I mean, it was down and dirty. Whiskey George and Riverboat. They get tied up, chained up, get shot in the back of the head with shotguns and probably pistols. They get thrown in the rock quarry, and we're calling the Outlaws just before the war. What happened to Riverboat and Whiskey? I don't know, man. They left to go home, and then they float to the surface, and it just from there it escalates and escalates, and I lost count of how many people got killed over the years. It got so rough. A motorcycle tank was left on one of the Outlaws' front porches. It was his birthday. And this is, getting into sophistication here. It was his birthday. He walked out. He saw it. He thought it was a gift. He picked it up, and it blew both his arms off. It was a bomb. I mean, this stuff's all documented. I'm not just making it up. I say that was the dirtiest one. I met with Taco, Harry Bowman. He died in prison in 2019. He tried to get a compassionate leave. He was dying of cancer. They hated him so much they wouldn't parole him.
Harry Bowman, Taco.
Harry Taco Bowman. Look up the United States of America versus Harry Bowman, and you'll see he put a murder contract on me.
Harry Bowman.
Harry Bowman. He came to Ventura twice to kill me, and he wound up going to jail for racketeering, and he got an additional 10 years for, and there's Harry right there, and got an additional 10 years for ordering my murder.
Did you guys ever meet? Like you guys?
Yeah, I met him in person a couple times.
Is he ever a friend or no?
Well, we had a interesting relationship. We were at war. I went to him, petitioned him for peace. A very unpopular position with the Outlaws, a very unpopular position with Hell's Angels, but I continued. Harry Bowman went along with it, dug in kind of, and ultimately Spike O'Neill in the mid 1995, 96, I don't know what year it was, talked Bowman into backing out of the peace talks and putting a murder contract on me. They were either going to kill Sonny or me. They decided ultimately to kill me. In 2002, I received a phone call from a federal prison, and it's Harry Bowman. And
Taco.
He calls me on the phone, and he wants to ask me a favor. And he said, George, he goes, this is basically your second case you beat. You beat that 59-count state racketeering case. You beat that case in 86. He goes, I don't know what your secret is, but he goes, my lawyer is interested in talking to your daughter and find out how you're fighting these cases. And he said, would you be interested in helping me out? And I thought about it. I was thinking, the balls on this guy. He
called you.
Yeah, he called me, had put a murder contract on me, convicted of it.
He knows it, you know it.
Yeah, he knows. And he said, about that murder thing, man, it was, it wasn't personal. And I said, well, I know that, I mean, what else are you going to say? I mean, we're supposed to be tough guys, But he says, will your daughter help me? And she called Henry Gonzalez, a very prominent attorney in Florida that was working on Taco's appeal. And they worked together on it a little bit, unsuccessfully, I might add. But as Harry and I were talking on the phone, I said, hey, before you get off the phone, Taco, I need to ask you something. He goes, oh, yeah, what's that? And he said, what do you want, And I could tell by his voice he knew I was going to say something to him. And I said, look, I know you got racketeering and you got a life sentence on that. And I said, I know you got an additional 10 years for ordering my murder. I said, what are you going to do first? And he told me to go to hell.
He did.
Yeah, he was joking. But Harry Bowman, interesting guy. He was on the FBI's
Is he dead? Is he alive?
He's dead.
He's dead. 2019. Yeah.
He ruled that club with an iron hand. He was the ultimate leader, international leader, had the final say, and that's what got him on the racketeering. Their club is structured somewhat like the mafia. Our Hells Angels charters are autonomous to each other, and that's how we beat that 1979, 1980 RICO case. Are you familiar with that? Mm-hmm. You know who was the prosecutor? Robert Mueller.
Stop it.
Robert Mueller. Mueller tried us twice and failed, and Judge Conti and him decided Robert Mueller. There you go, right there.
Robert Mueller was prosecuted in 1980 major RICO case. That's against the Hells Angels motorcycle, leading to 2 lengthy trials that ended mistrials due to problematic government witness and defense argument. Wow. Yeah, this is where you were arguing against Sonny to say, let's do less empire, let's do more decentralized, independent.
Right. Yes, exactly.
So we won't be held towards RICO laws.
They can't racketeer. Right. No racketeering. You know?
Right.
And, Sonny liked, look, I'm going to be candid with you. Somebody says, hey, yeah, there's Sonny Barger. Or, hey, there's George Christie. This guy's really powerful in the Hells Angels. It's really an ego blast, And
what kind of money are you guys making? Like, are you guys making money?
Well, there were times I was making money, but I got to tell you something. By the early 90s, I had a bail bonds company. I had a T-shirt company. I had a tattoo shop. I had a concert promotion business. And I was administrator for my daughter's law office. I was a real entrepreneur, as you are yourself. And so I found that I could make a lot more money legally without the scrutiny. But the interesting thing is the scrutiny never stopped. They're always looking at an angle. There was rumors floating around the internet for a while. I had $35 million hidden in an offshore account in
would you mind sharing the address with the audience?
Well, my ex-wife would like to know that as well.
My ex-wife would like to know.
She actually called me, and she said, what about this?
Wow. Bold like Taco. Taco called as well.
Maybe worse.
Really?
But anyways.
Is Noel still alive?
Noel? Yeah, Noel's alive. I think Zorana's alive. Sonny's, those are Sonny's women. I have nothing to do with Sonny.
No, what I'm asking is, does your ex-wife, Noel and Z, do they talk? No, are they friends?
No, they were not friends.
They were not friends?
No, isolated. My ex-wife knew Z. It was interesting. It was like the kettle calling the pot black. That's how they perceived each other, if you will.
Wow.
And that's what I'll say on that.
Who was you? Did you say it once, or I don't know who said it, that Sonny one time hit his wife and his daughter or something like that?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he has if you look it up, he's got a assault beef against Noel. And I believe the daughter's name was Sarah. His 14.
Noel's daughter or his daughter?
Noel's daughter. Sonny doesn't have any children. He has one sibling, a sister. But
he didn't want to have kids?
I don't know. I think he was a pretty selfish guy. I think he was interested in himself.
Was he straight? Was he only into women?
I think so.
Okay, you think so? Well, that's good. Yeah. At least you think so. That's
I saw no.
No, I'm just wondering because, if you don't want kids, it's could be different for everybody.
Yeah, look.
When guys see,
and let me say something because the Sonny supporters are going to go. He would never be saying. Everything I said today, I said to Sonny's face at one time or another. We had an ultimate showdown in the Oakland clubhouse. He was a Cave Creek member. I was a Ventura member. we were resolving an issue. He called 911, which is against the club rules. You can certainly call 911 for an ambulance, but he called 911, and then the police took the call over, and he made a bunch of provocative, cavalier statements about Noel. I took exception to that because the club took exception to that. They wanted him corralled in, if you will. And Papa was a very powerful San Francisco member. When I say Frisco, I'm talking about San Francisco. Frisco member who ultimately would get murdered by the Mongols. But he hosted a meeting between me and Sonny. And Sonny and I went in the back room.
What year?
I'm going to say 2006, maybe.
At this point, there is major issues between the two of you.
Yeah, this is the final straw. We're reaching the end. And I said, "You're wrong." I go, "Members have been kicked out for that." I go, "You need to admit it to the club." And he basically, I said, "Look, we've been arguing 2 hours." I said, "We're not getting anywhere." I said, "How about this?" I go, "How about we agree that you're going to think I'm wrong, I'm going to think you're wrong." And I said, "But let's do this. Let's go out to there was like probably 20 presidents sitting in the other room. I said, let's go out to the meeting and let's tell them the issue's resolved and it's put behind us. So there's no more questions about it." And he said, "Me, go out in the meeting?" He goes, "I'm Sonny Barger. I don't answer to anybody." And that's what he told me. And I said, "Look, Sonny," I said, you got me all wrong, man. You think I'm after you." I said, "I'm not after you." I said, "My vision of Sonny Barger is Sonny Barger standing in the front, George Christie on your right shoulder, and Irish O'Farrell on your left shoulder." And I said, "Do you remember up in Shasta when the cops were threatened to rush the camp because somebody had ditched them on their bike and rode into camp? And you told them that if they came in, it was going to be a goddamn riot." And I said, "That's a Sonny Barger I remember, and that's a Sonny Barger I always want to remember." Now, I may have my timeline wrong, Shortly after that book, Angels of Death, came out.
07.
Yeah, he told me, he said, yeah, so Angels of Death argument. So he calls me up on the phone, and he said, "You know what, George? I read that book." And he goes, "You look really bad in it." And I go, "Oh, I look really bad?" And I said, "Like I'm trying to impress somebody?" And I said, "Well, you know what?" I go, "You don't look so good yourself," because I'd read the book and whatnot. And he goes, "And I'm going to tell you something else." He goes, "I think you've been president too long in Ventura." And he goes, "You need to step down." And he goes, "Nobody likes you." And I said, "Well, you know what, man? I don't know how this sounds to you," but I said, "I don't really care what you think anymore." And he hung up on me. And like a couple of kids, this is the last time I talked to him, I called him back. And I said, "Hey, Ralph," I said, "we got cut off." And he hadn't cut me off. He had hung up on me. And he said, "No, George, I hung," and I slammed the phone down on him.
Just to make sure you're the last one.
Yeah, I had to get the last word. And that's the last time we talked.
When we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort, function, and luxury, we had the choice to make it fast. We had the choice to make it cheap. We chose neither. Instead, we chose Tuscany, Italy. We chose true Italian craftsmanship, each pair touched by 50 skilled hands. We chose patience, spending 2 years perfecting every detail, and we chose the finest quality at every step. Introducing the Future Looks Bright collection. Not rushed, not disposable, not ordinary. Rather, intentional, luxurious, timeless. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.